Joburg-based soccer club Kaizer Chiefs is facing a backlash and some embarrassment after fans stormed and burned the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban on the weekend. This followed a 2-0 defeat to the Free State Stars. The head coach of the team has since resigned and many players have voiced their condemnation for the incident. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department has warned the public against a fake advertisement promising vacancies at the department's academy. Earlier this year, a man and a woman were arrested for fraud. The pair allegedly duped at least 52 people into paying over 10,000 rand for fake jobs. The nationwide bus strike entered its sixth day today with no agreement being reached. Workers rejected an offer of 8%, proposing instead a wage increase of 9.5% in the first year and 9% for the second year. Commuters across South Africa will have to make alternative arrangements for transport. And that's the news in 60 seconds. Now here's more insight on the Kaizer Chiefs incident.
CS, in your opinion, what was the underlying factor for the way Kaizer Chiefs fans behaved over the weekend?
Thanks for having me on. I think the crux of the matter is Kaizer Chiefs haven't won anything for 3 years. No silverware. The fans were growing impatient with Steve Komphela. They got to a point where we saw a month ago with a chipper game where things threatened to spill over, where Chiefs lost 3-0. I think this was just the cherry on the cake, and I'm by no means condoning what happened in Durban, but it was disgraceful to see that the fans got what they wanted. They got their coach out, and they had to by drastic measures, and it's just unacceptable. Unfortunately now, Komphela's gone, the fans are happy, but they've committed these horrendous acts, which we shouldn't see in football.
Now, with the coach gone, who do you see taking over the reins?
It's a great question. I mean, I can only speculate at this stage. I mean, I imagine with only a handful of games left, they'll probably have a caretaker coach step in. I don't see them appointing anyone just yet. But Eric Tinkler is a guy that I've heard bandied about. He's left SuperSport United. He's had a great track record with Orlando Pirates. Has taken them almost all the way in the CAF competitions. He might be someone to look at, but this is South African football. We've seen some strange appointments. You just have to look at Orlando Pirates before Micho's come on. So anything can happen, but I think there might be room for an Eric Tinkler to come in.
Now, how has this, in your opinion, impacted South Africa's reputation globally?
I think it's done some damage. Considering what a high we were on in 2010 with the World Cup, I mean, everyone speaks about that World Cup as the most successful World Cup in World Cup history, not just for Africa or for South Africa, but in World Cup history. So I think there's definitely damage done. I think especially now with our president who's looking to lure foreign investment to South Africa, how do you stand up in front of a breakfast or a dinner and say, well, come and invest in our country, but you have football fans who are unruly and do a bit of damage. So I think from that point of view, damage has been done, and you know, it has marred sort of our football, because the PSL is one of the best leagues on the African continent. It really is. I mean, in terms of money, in terms of players, in terms of the facilities, it really is a shining light to the rest of the continent, but it gets overshadowed by something like this. Just a few hooligans who've done despicable things, and unfortunately it's done some damage, and it's going to be interesting to see how the PSL responds and how we bounce back from this.
Overly, do you think security-wise enough is being done at these events?
I think as the investigation rolls on, we will now see what exactly was in place. I've got a feeling there weren't enough security, and some will argue in the current economic climate, you know, security companies may be just pulling a few people back, or they're spread in terms of their resources. But the question is, you're a security guard, you're getting a day rate at a game, and a bunch of hooligans, protesters rush at you. You can't be angry with a guy for trying to sort of get out of the way or not be involved. So I think question marks certainly will be with the amount of people that were there in terms of the security, and if the planning had been done by Moses Mabhida Stadium and stadium management to get the right people at the job, because I think there needs to be an education, there needs to be proper training put in place, and it begs the question, are these guys really trained? How are they vetted to be there? Because you can't just pull someone off the street and say, look after this whole section. They need to be experienced or at least trained properly. So I think as the investigation unfolds, we'll see what really was done and where the problems lie going forward, because this could be a precedent now for South African football in future.
And on that note, thank you very much. Yes.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.